A new version of one of the world's most popular cars was launched in Britain this week. Before it was launched, Frank Page managed to get his hands on one and tried it out on the winding and twisting roads around the beautiful fjords of Western Norway.
This is the 1983 Corolla, 5th edition of Toyota's hugely successful small family car, which has sold more than 10 million units around the world since it was first launched in 1966. From the outside, the new Corolla doesn't look all that different from the previous, the 4th series, which has been in production since 1980. It has a simple saloon shape, 4 doors, 4 seats, and it provides reasonable performance and reasonable economy. But there is one big difference about this version of the Corolla, and it's here under the bonnet. At long last, Toyota have brought this car, almost kicking and screaming, into the second half of the 20th century, where before all the previous Corollas had a 4.5 engine driving through a traditional transmission to the live rear axle, therefore not independent. They've now at last gone to the transverse engine driving the front wheels, and that means, of course, that they've got independent suspension all round. In other words, they're following the system which was pioneered by the Mini nearly 25 years ago. It makes a lot of difference in foot space for the front seat passengers, and it should make a difference to how the car goes. Let's just see. You soon realise when driving the Corolla that it's in no sense a revolutionary car. Toyota talk in their press material about the company's innate conservatism, and that's very apparent once you get behind the wheel. There are no special gimmicks, no revolutionary departures, but there is quite a lot of pretty competent design engineering. The seats are nice and comfortable with a good degree of lateral support. There's an excellent driving position with good visibility all round. And the gearbox, a 5-speed gearbox, is operated by cables, but nevertheless it is still very slick in operation. But there are some disappointments. I find this engine is really rather coarse, and also there's a fair degree of transmission noise that comes up through the road wheels and the suspension. And although the wind noise isn't very obtrusive, because the car is actually very aerodynamic, there is a lot of noise that comes through this ventilation system, especially if you use the fan right up to its 4th speed. It has to be heard to be believed. Steering is now rack and pinion, and though it's an improvement, I still wouldn't call it the sharpest in its class. However, the lock is very impressive. A turning circle of just over 30 feet makes the car very handy in traffic and easy to park. Power output of 69 brake horsepower means the car accelerates adequately with a top speed of about 97 miles per hour, but you do have to stir the gearbox a lot in hilly going, especially if you have a full load on. Fuel economy is about 38 to 40 miles per gallon of 2-star fuel in mixed motoring. Overall, then, the new Corolla is a very handy and practical little motor car, which I'm sure will appeal to many of its old fans. But it does have its disadvantages, and it is up against some really tough competitors in cars like the Escort, the Astra, the Maestro, and, of course, the new Golf. The 4-door saloon that we've been testing costs £5,133, and you can buy this 5-door lift-back version for £5,307. If you want automatic transmission, you can get that for an extra £299. But if you want the estate car, then you have to go back to the old-style Corolla, still with rear-wheel drive. And when the sports coupes come a little later on, they'll also have rear-wheel drive, which makes the range seem a bit schizophrenic to me. Nevertheless, there are, as I say, millions of fans for the Corolla around, and I'm sure they'll go for its reliability and value for money, as they've always done in the past.